Design shapes the way you live. I'm Nico, an interior design expert focused on the connection between home and well-being. Using science, design, and professional expertise, I'll help you shape a space that elevates your mindset and enhances your well-being. Let's create space for better living, starting now. Welcome back to Your Home by Design, the show where we explore the science and soul of creating spaces that support your health, happiness, and everyday life. Today, we're diving into something that everyone does without even realizing it, the way we talk about our homes. From calling our spaces a mess to apologizing for the state of things, these tiny, seemingly harmless words carry weight on our mindset, our stress levels, and even our ability to enjoy where we live. I'll share some fascinating research on the power of our words, personal stories, and actionable ways to reframe how you think and speak about your home so you can feel more connected, proud, and at ease in your space. Sounds good? Let's get started. Well, there has been loads of research done on how words affect us. Pretty much every self-help book, every book about attaining your goals or changing your habits mentions something about your choice of words. You may have even heard the advice of, instead of saying, I have to, try replacing it with, I get to. And the reason for this, the reason you'd want to pay attention to your words is simply because your words shape your mindset and your actions. And I believe there's an interesting connection with our word choices when we speak about our homes and how that connects and affects us. See, our homes have such an immense impact on us. The way they are decorated, the choice of shapes and colors, textures, light, the way they are organized, the spatial layout, the connection to the natural world, the products and everything we choose to put in them, even down to the air we breathe within the home. All of it affects us and shapes us. But what about the words we use to describe our space, our home? The choice of words when we speak to others and ourselves, the internal dialogue. So the other night, I was out for dinner with a group of people, and we were talking about an upcoming event. And one of the women mentioned she could host this event at her house. So she was telling us all how she has a large property and they have this really large building on the back of the property, which they have converted to an amazing space for entertaining guests. And she was explaining how perfect it would be for this event and how it could all go down. And while she was painting this amazing picture, she just casually threw in that if we go to this building, it means that no one has to see the disaster in her house. And I thought to myself when I heard this, she didn't need to add that part in. The story would have been great. The picture that she painted was amazing. She didn't need to tell us this. And what that did was, for anyone who was in that conversation that had never been to her house, immediately they would have formed a judgment. And not just that, but that simple way of saying, my house is a disaster, actually was having negative effects on her body. The way her body was responding to that comment. This type of thing is so common, putting down our spaces. It happened to me just the other day. Our home was in flux. We were finalizing a few projects and I had just was finishing some last minute Christmas decorating. So our home was just off. I hadn't had a chance to do a reset of the home or a deep clean since we really started these little projects and finalizing the Christmas stuff. So it just looked off. And we happened to have a few people pop by and I went into default mode and started pointing this out, telling them why it was sort of in this state. To be honest, I was worrying, like we all do, on what they might think. So the explanations started pouring out. Now, I know that most of the time my home doesn't look that way. It doesn't look the way that it did that day. But I really thought about it after, and I thought about how I could have changed a few words to keep things more positive, to have a little more self-respect. I'm sure you've experienced this. So how do you speak about your home? Negative talk often happens very candidly, right? And it happens all the time. I've seen this over and over in client meetings where there's been couples and one person is sharing something negative about their home and the other, you can see it, they're feeling it. And sometimes both of them are carrying the weight from that. I've had people in passing ask me my advice on home improvements, describing their spaces in really negative ways when they're saying how it needs to be changed. I've seen it in the research I've done on this and the significance of our homes. And my hope is that at the end of today's episode, you start paying attention to the words you use, that you have respect for yourself and your health, and that you, because of the awareness, can start to recognize and replace those negative words with positive ones. So as a researcher of wellness design, I explore how interiors influence our health. And the words we use when we talk about our homes are no exception. Let's imagine for a second that you have something really old and dated in your home that you feel needs to be changed. Let's say it's carpet. And if you're being honest, it embarrasses you and it takes up a lot of your mental space. No matter how clean your home is, you still feel like it looks dirty and dingy. Let's say you're chatting to a group of friends and the topic comes up. One of your friends is sharing how they're renovating their kitchen. And in your head, you're wishing you could afford to change that carpet. And you're saving, but you can't afford it yet. And the reality is there are other things that just have to be done first. And as much as you hate it and listening to your friend just makes you want to change it even more, you say, we have so much in our house that needs to be done. I wish we could change our carpet. We have to get rid of it. It is so disgusting. As I say that, can you feel it? The emotion on that, the weight on that. Now imagine if you said, oh, I can't wait for the day we get to update some things. It's in the planning and I just can't wait to pull up those carpets and get some new flooring. It is going to feel amazing. You must be so excited to finish your kitchen and start enjoying it. I can't wait to see it. Do you feel the difference? Obviously, one sounds positive and one sounds pretty negative. The tone in the conversation had shifted, which the second way just sounds like a more enjoyable conversation, doesn't it? But what about your body? What's going on in your body when you have a negative tone? How is that affecting you? And how will that affect your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, and your health? In my mini-series, The Power of Home, I start off talking about the heart of home and how much home means to us, what home represents. And from everything I've researched and all my years as an interior designer, I know that home, your home, my home, carries significance. And we view our homes as an extension of ourselves. So when we speak negatively about our homes, it affects us negatively. We're essentially speaking negatively about ourselves. So let's get into what happens to us when we speak positively or negatively about ourselves. I've pulled some really great things from some of the research I've done on this. And the first thing I want to share is that a single word can affect the expression of genes, so how they're turned on or off, that affects physical and emotional stress. A single word can also cause us to release stress-producing hormones, which makes it hard to think. Negative words can also cause a release in anxiety-boosting hormones. Words we use towards ourselves can influence our motivation, leading to feelings of helplessness. So instead of taking action to make improvements to your space, you may feel too overwhelmed, which will cause you to feel like nothing will make your home better. And you need positive thinking in order to feel inspired and to be able to envision the best solutions, to get creative with your spaces. Positivity helps with problem solving. So being negative can also affect your self-esteem. So if you're using self-critical words, it can actually lower your self-worth. Whereas if you use kind and soothing words, it can activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which can promote relaxation and heart rate. If you speak negatively about your home, saying things like, this home is always such a mess. I hate how this or that looks. It could potentially lead to a heightened level of stress. So your environment could actually start feeling more disorderly and frantic, even if it's not. And if you're sharing those thoughts with others, then it can impact how they see your home. They start to see it in a negative light, which can influence their perception of you and your living environment. The other thing is, if you're in a negative state, then it stops you from finding joy in your home and being delighted about certain things. And your home is meant to be a place you find solace, where you retreat. It's your safe space. And if you're speaking badly about it, it causes you to feel disconnected, and it causes it to feel more of a burden than a benefit. And this is especially important when you want your home to be a tool to promote your health and your well-being. Our effort and energy is best used when we focus on the positive things in our home, like what brings us joy. Interacting with your spaces by simply paying attention to elements within your home. When you critique your space, you should think about doing this in the same way as you would approach constructive criticism. So when analyzing your home, it would be helpful to replace negative self-talk with constructive feedback and focus on solutions by being specific about what needs to be improved and offering yourself encouragement. So for example, instead of thinking, this space is hopeless, try thinking, there's potential here and I can transform it one step at a time. Reframe how you speak about your home so that you can shift your focus from negative to the positive and reap the benefits of seeing your space and yourself in a new light with endless potential. So as we come to the end of this episode, I just want to do a quick little recap. Today, we explored the surprising power of words and how speaking negatively about your home can impact your stress, mindset, and even how you show up in your space. Words matter. And by shifting your language from "this place is a disaster" to "I'm excited to make some updates," you not only reframe how you feel about your home, but also empower yourself to take action. Remember, your home is a reflection of you. Speak kindly about it, see its potential, and watch as both you and your space begin to thrive. Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much for listening today. If you found this episode helpful, the best way to support the show is to follow along and share it with someone who'd love it too. And if you'd like to go a step further, you can become one of our Better Living backers. It's a small monthly contribution that helps keep the show going. And as a thank you, I'll send you a personal note along with a 15% discount for the Create Space course when it launches. You can find the Support the Show link right in the show notes. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for creating space with me.